ma'am, I'm just trying to check out.
Oh, you don't even care. Sitting on your phone while our town falls apart.
I'm paying for my...
You're a joke.
Ma'am, please
No, you need to hear this.
don't touch me. I don't want you...
Coward, take this.
At exactly 7:04 p.m. on a warm Tuesday evening, Naomi Stevens, a 42-year-old woman from a quiet neighborhood in Arizona, walked up to Border Patrol agent Simon Wright and did something that would change both of their lives forever. She didn't just yell. She didn't just complain. She physically attacked a federal officer while screaming racial slurs so vile that the gas station owner would later tell police he had never heard anything like it in his 20 years of business. What happened next wasn't just a simple arrest. It became a federal case that would drain Naomi's bank account, destroy her reputation, and send shockwaves through her entire community. Before we continue, where are you watching from? If this is your first time here, please hit that subscribe button. Stories like this need to be shared, and your support helps us bring you more real-life events that matter. Simon Wright had been a Border Patrol agent for 6 years. He was good at his job. He followed the rules. He treated everyone with respect. On that Tuesday evening, he had just finished his shift and stopped at a gas station near the border checkpoint to grab a coffee and a sandwich. He was still in his uniform, tired from a long day of processing paperwork and helping travelers cross the border legally. He had no idea that the next 15 minutes would test everything he believed about justice. Naomi pulled up to the gas station in her white SUV at 7:02 p.m. She had been having a bad day. Her credit card got declined at the grocery store. Her boss yelled at her about being late to work. Traffic was terrible, but none of that excused what she was about to do. When she walked into the gas station and saw Simon standing in line, something inside her snapped. The first words out of her mouth were an insult. She looked at Simon's uniform and immediately started complaining that Border Patrol agents were useless. She said they were letting everyone into the country. She blamed him personally for everything she thought was wrong with immigration. Simon did what he was trained to do. He ignored her. He kept looking at his phone, waiting for his turn to pay. But Naomi didn't stop. She got louder. The gas station clerk, a young man named Paul, looked up nervously. 2 other customers in the store stopped what they were doing. Everyone could feel the tension building. Naomi stepped closer to Simon. She was now just 2 feet away from him, invading his personal space. That's when she said the first racial slur. Simon's jaw tightened. He still didn't respond. He had dealt with difficult people before. Part of his job was staying calm under pressure. He took a deep breath and stepped forward to the counter to pay for his items. He thought if he just paid and left, the situation would end. He was wrong. As Simon reached for his wallet, Naomi did something that shocked everyone in the store. She grabbed his arm and yanked it back. Hard. Simon turned around, his training kicking in. He pulled his arm away and stepped back, creating distance between himself and Naomi. He finally spoke, his voice calm and professional. He told her not to touch him. He said he didn't want any trouble. Naomi's response was to scream another racial slur, even worse than the first. Then she picked up a display of candy bars near the counter and threw it at Simon. The candy bars scattered across the floor. One hit Simon in the chest. Paul, the clerk, immediately grabbed his phone and called 911. The other customers backed away toward the door. Everyone knew this was getting out of control. What happened next was captured in clear detail on 3 different security cameras. Naomi charged at Simon and shoved him with both hands. Simon, trained in defensive tactics, easily kept his balance. He raised his hands in a non-threatening way and told Naomi to calm down. He told her he was a federal officer and that she was assaulting him. This seemed to make Naomi even angrier. She came at him again, this time swinging her purse at his head. The purse was heavy, and when it connected with the side of Simon's face, you could hear the impact on the security video. Simon stumbled to the side. His cheek immediately started to swell. That's when he made the decision to protect himself. He grabbed Naomi's wrist as she tried to swing the purse again. He used a basic restraint technique to stop her from hitting him a second time. Naomi started screaming that Simon was attacking her. She yelled for help. She claimed she was the victim. Paul, still on the phone with 911, told the dispatcher exactly what was happening. He said a woman was attacking a Border Patrol agent. He said the agent was defending himself. He said the woman was saying horrible racist things. The local police were already on their way. Quick question for you watching. Have you ever witnessed someone falsely claim to be the victim? If yes, type yes in the comments. Simon held Naomi's wrist just tight enough to stop her from swinging at him again. He didn't hurt her. He didn't throw her to the ground. He simply controlled her arm until help arrived. But Naomi kept screaming. She kept trying to kick him. She kept spitting racial slurs. Every word was recorded. Every action was caught on camera. 2 police cars pulled into the gas station parking lot at 7:09 p.m. 5 minutes had passed since Naomi first attacked Simon, though it probably felt like an hour to everyone in that store. The first officer through the door was a veteran cop who had seen plenty of fights in his career. He immediately assessed the situation. He saw Simon, in his Border Patrol uniform, holding the wrist of a red-faced woman who was screaming and trying to kick him. He saw the scattered candy bars on the floor. He saw the other customers huddled by the door, looking scared. The officer told both of them to separate. Simon immediately let go of Naomi's wrist and stepped back, his hands up. Naomi lunged at him again. The officer had to physically step between them. He told Naomi to calm down, or she would be arrested. Naomi made her second big mistake of the night. She told the officer that Simon had attacked her. She said he grabbed her for no reason. She demanded that Simon be arrested. Paul, the clerk, spoke up immediately. He told the officer that wasn't true. He said Naomi attacked Simon first. He said everything was on camera. The officer asked Paul to save the security footage. Paul said he already had. The officer then asked the other customers what they saw. All of them told the same story. Naomi was the attacker. Simon was defending himself. The officer turned to Naomi and told her she was under arrest for assault. That's when she made her third mistake. She tried to run. She didn't get far. The second police officer, who had been standing near the door, caught her before she made it to the parking lot. They handcuffed her right there. Naomi was still screaming. She was still saying racist things, but now she was directing them at the police officers too. Simon stood off to the side, holding his swollen cheek. The first officer came over to check on him. He asked if Simon needed medical attention. Simon said his face hurt, but he would be okay. The officer took photos of Simon's injury. The red mark was already turning into a dark bruise. The officer asked Simon if he wanted to press charges. Simon said yes. He said this had gone too far. He said what Naomi did was wrong, and she needed to face consequences. Here's where things got more serious for Naomi. Attacking a regular person is bad. It's assault, and you can be arrested for it. But attacking a federal officer is a different level of crime. It's a federal offense. It carries much harsher penalties. Naomi didn't just pick a fight with a random person at a gas station. She picked a fight with someone whose job is protected by federal law. The local police arrested Naomi for assault, but they also contacted the FBI. When you assault a federal officer, the FBI gets involved. Within 2 hours, an FBI agent arrived at the police station where Naomi was being held. The agent reviewed the security footage. The agent read the statements from the witnesses. The agent looked at the photos of Simon's bruised face. Then the agent made a decision. Naomi would face federal charges. Naomi spent that night in jail. She used her one phone call to contact her husband, who was shocked by what he heard. He couldn't believe his wife had done something like this. When he came to bail her out the next morning, he learned that bail was set at $50,000. He had to pay $5,000 just to get her out. That was the beginning of Naomi's financial problems. Do you think the bail amount was fair? Keep watching to see how much this actually cost her in the end. The next day, the local news got hold of the story. Someone leaked the security camera footage. By Thursday morning, the video of Naomi attacking Simon was all over social media. Millions of people watched as this middle-aged woman threw candy bars, swung her purse, and attacked a calm Border Patrol agent who was just trying to buy coffee. The audio was the worst part. Every racist word she screamed was clear as day. People were outraged. Naomi's identity was revealed within hours. Internet users found her social media accounts. They found out where she worked. They found out where she lived. Her employer, a local insurance company, received thousands of angry emails and phone calls. By Friday morning, Naomi was fired from her job. The company released a statement saying they do not tolerate racism or violence, and that Naomi no longer represented their values. Simon, meanwhile, was dealing with his own challenges. His face was badly bruised. He had to take a few days off work to recover. But more than the physical pain, he was dealing with the emotional weight of what happened. He had experienced racism before. As a black man in America, it wasn't new. But being attacked while in uniform, while representing his country and doing his job, felt different. It felt more personal. The FBI moved quickly on the case. Within 2 weeks, federal charges were filed against Naomi. She was charged with assaulting a federal officer, which is a felony. She was also charged with making false statements to police when she claimed Simon attacked her first. Each charge carried potential prison time. Naomi's lawyer, a public defender because she couldn't afford a private attorney after losing her job, told her the truth. The evidence against her was overwhelming. The video didn't lie. The witnesses all told the same story. She had no defense. But the criminal charges were only the beginning of Naomi's legal problems. Simon decided to file a civil lawsuit against her. This is where Naomi's life really started to fall apart financially. In the civil lawsuit, Simon sued Naomi for assault, battery, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and civil rights violations. He was asking for damages to cover his medical bills, his pain and suffering, and punitive damages to punish Naomi for her racist attack. Naomi's husband tried to convince her to settle the lawsuit. He could see that fighting it would cost even more money. But Naomi, still not fully understanding the severity of her situation, refused. She believed that somehow she would win. She believed people would see things her way. She was wrong. The criminal case went to trial first. Naomi's lawyer tried to argue that she was having a mental health crisis that day, that she wasn't in her right mind, that she shouldn't be held fully responsible for her actions. The prosecutor played the security camera footage for the jury. All 12 jurors watched as Naomi attacked Simon. They heard every racist word. They saw her try to run from the police. They heard the testimony from Paul and the other witnesses. The trial lasted 3 days. The jury took less than 2 hours to reach a verdict. Guilty on all charges. The judge scheduled sentencing for 1 month later. During that month, Naomi finally realized what she had done. She finally understood that her life was ruined. She wrote a letter to the judge apologizing for her actions. She claimed she wasn't racist, that she was just having a bad day, that she made a terrible mistake. But the judge wasn't buying it. At the sentencing hearing, the judge addressed Naomi directly. The judge said that attacking a federal officer is serious. The judge said that racism has no place in society. The judge said that Naomi's actions were deliberate and cruel. Naomi was sentenced to 18 months in federal prison. She was also ordered to pay a fine of $10,000. She was ordered to complete anger management classes and attend counseling for racial sensitivity. Her husband sat in the courtroom, his head in his hands. Their savings were gone. Their reputation was destroyed. And now his wife was going to prison. But Naomi still had to face Simon's civil lawsuit. While she was waiting to report to prison, the civil case moved forward. Simon's lawyer presented evidence of the medical costs for treating Simon's bruised face and jaw. They presented evidence of the emotional trauma Simon experienced. They brought in an expert who testified about the psychological impact of racist attacks on victims. They showed the court how the incident affected Simon's ability to work and his mental health. Naomi's lawyer tried to argue that she didn't have any money to pay damages. It was true. She had lost her job. She had spent thousands on bail and court costs for the criminal case. Her savings were depleted. But the jury didn't care about her financial situation. They cared about justice. They cared about holding Naomi accountable for what she did. Are you still watching? If you think justice is important, hit that like button right now. The civil jury awarded Simon $250,000 in damages. This included $50,000 for medical expenses and pain and suffering, and $200,000 in punitive damages. Punitive damages are meant to punish someone for particularly bad behavior. The jury wanted to send a message. Racist attacks won't be tolerated. There are consequences. When Naomi heard the verdict, she broke down crying in the courtroom. $250,000. She didn't have that kind of money. She didn't have any way to get that kind of money. Her lawyer explained that the judgment would follow her for years. Even after she got out of prison, she would have to pay. Simon could garnish her wages. He could put liens on any property she owned. He could take a portion of any income she ever made. This debt would hang over her head for a very long time. Simon's lawyer later explained to reporters why they pursued both criminal and civil cases. The criminal case was about punishment and justice from the state. The civil case was about making the victim whole and ensuring there were real financial consequences for racist violence. Together, they sent a powerful message. Naomi reported to federal prison 3 months after the assault at the gas station. Her life had completely fallen apart in that short time. She lost her job. She lost her savings. She was convicted of a felony. She owed $250,000. Her friends stopped talking to her. Her extended family was embarrassed. Even her husband was considering divorce, all because of 15 minutes of rage and racism at a gas station. Simon, on the other hand, was trying to move forward with his life. The bruises on his face healed after a few weeks. He returned to work. His colleagues supported him. His supervisors made sure he had access to counseling services. The Border Patrol Agency issued a statement supporting Simon and condemning the attack against him. They emphasized that assaults on their agents would be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. But Simon struggled with trust for a while after the incident. He found himself more cautious around people when he was in uniform. He wondered if others were thinking racist thoughts, even if they weren't saying them out loud. He had nightmares about the attack. He replayed the moment over and over in his mind. The counseling helped, but it took months before he felt like himself again. The $250,000 judgment became a real problem for Naomi's husband. Even though he wasn't the one who attacked Simon, they were married. In their state, that meant their shared assets could be used to pay the judgment. Their house had a mortgage, but they had some equity in it. Simon's lawyer filed a lien against the house. If they ever sold it, Simon would get his money first, before Naomi and her husband saw a dime. Naomi's husband filed for divorce while she was in prison. He couldn't handle the financial burden and the social shame. He couldn't understand how the woman he married could do something so hateful. The divorce was finalized 8 months into Naomi's prison sentence. As part of the divorce, the court had to divide their assets and debts. The judge assigned the entire $250,000 judgment to Naomi alone. Her husband walked away with most of their remaining assets. Naomi would leave prison with nothing but debt. Inside federal prison, Naomi had a lot of time to think about what she did. She attended the required anger management and counseling sessions. For the first time, she was forced to confront her own prejudices and biases. She heard stories from other inmates about their experiences with racism. She slowly began to understand the depth of the harm she caused. Whether her change of heart was genuine or just a result of facing consequences, only she truly knew. Simon eventually received some money from the judgment. Before the divorce, Naomi's husband paid $30,000 to settle part of the judgment and remove the lien from the house so he could refinance. After the divorce was final, Naomi's portion of the retirement account she had from her old job was seized. That was another $40,000. Simon knew he would probably never see the full $250,000, but that wasn't really the point. The point was accountability. The case attracted national attention and became an example used in training sessions for law enforcement and Border Patrol agents across the country. The clear video footage and the strong legal response demonstrated how agencies should support their officers and how the justice system can work when there's clear evidence of assault and hate-based violence. Several civil rights organizations reached out to Simon to share his story. He agreed to speak at a few events, though he was careful not to let the incident define his entire life. He talked about the importance of having cameras everywhere to document the truth. He talked about how the witnesses who spoke up made all the difference. If Paul the clerk and those customers had stayed silent, the case might have been very different. Naomi served her full 18-month sentence. Federal prisoners don't get early release for good behavior like some state prisoners do. She was released on a cold Tuesday morning. No one was there to pick her up. She took a bus to a halfway house where she would spend the next 6 months as part of her supervised release. She was a convicted felon now. Finding a job would be nearly impossible. Most employers don't hire people who have been convicted of assaulting a federal officer. The remaining balance on the judgment, still over $180,000, continued to haunt her. She had to report any income to the court. If she managed to find work, a portion of her paycheck would be automatically sent to Simon. If she tried to hide income or assets, she could be held in contempt of court and sent back to prison. The judgment would follow her for decades, possibly for the rest of her life. Simon moved to a different city about a year after the incident. He got a promotion within the Border Patrol and wanted a fresh start. He still thought about that night at the gas station sometimes, but it didn't consume him anymore. The justice system had worked. Naomi had been held accountable both criminally and civilly. Simon used some of the money from the judgment to pay off his student loans and put a down payment on a small house. In a strange way, he turned something terrible into something that helped build his future. Do you think Naomi got what she deserved? Let us know what you think in the comments. The gas station where everything happened became a minor landmark for a while. People would stop by to see the place where the incident occurred. Paul, the clerk, was interviewed by several news outlets. He said he was just glad he called 911 right away and that the cameras were working. He said everyone has a responsibility to speak up when they see something wrong. His boss gave him a raise for handling the situation so well. The case also sparked conversations in Naomi's former community. Her neighbors were shocked when they found out what she had done. Some people who knew her said they never saw that side of her. Others admitted they had heard her make questionable comments before, but never thought she would get violent. The incident forced many people to examine their own biases and consider what they would do if they witnessed something similar. Legal experts used this case in their analysis of hate crimes and assault on federal officers. The combination of clear video evidence, multiple witnesses, and the victim's status as a federal agent made it an open and shut case. Lawyers pointed to it as an example of why people should never assume they can get away with violence, especially in an age where cameras are everywhere. 3 years after the incident, Naomi was working part-time at a warehouse, one of the few jobs she could get with a felony record. She was living in a small apartment, barely making ends meet. Every month, a portion of her paycheck was garnished to pay towards the judgment. At the rate she was paying, it would take her more than 20 years to pay off the debt. She had no retirement savings, no prospects for a better job, no relationship with most of her family. The 15 minutes of rage at that gas station had cost her everything. Simon, meanwhile, continued to build his career and his life. He got married 2 years after the incident to someone who understood what he had been through and supported his healing process. He became an advocate for body cameras and security cameras as tools to protect both officers and the public. He occasionally spoke to new Border Patrol recruits about staying professional even when faced with hostility and discrimination. The story of Naomi and Simon became a clear example of how one person's moment of racist violence can have long-lasting consequences. It showed that actions have consequences, that racism is not just morally wrong, but legally punishable, and that the justice system, when it works properly, can hold people accountable. It demonstrated the importance of witnesses who are willing to tell the truth and technology that captures what really happened. For Simon, the physical bruises healed within weeks, but the emotional impact took much longer. He was grateful for the support he received from his agency, his colleagues, and the legal system. The financial compensation from the lawsuit helped, But more important was the validation that what happened to him was wrong, and that the person who attacked him faced real consequences. For Naomi, the consequences of those 15 minutes will last a lifetime. A criminal record, a massive debt, a destroyed reputation, a broken family, and limited opportunities for the future. All because she let her anger and her racism take control of her actions. All because she decided to attack someone based on the color of his skin while he was just trying to buy coffee after work. If you made it to the end of this story, thank you for watching. Please subscribe and share this video so others can see that racism and violence have real consequences. Drop a comment and let us know what you learned from this story.